I got Frank with me. 2-2 at the bridge. Frank, your thoughts on the game?
Whew. And breathe. That's all I can say. You know, if we look at the performance as a whole, I'm extremely disappointed. For a good 75 minutes of that game, we looked like the team that had been playing like a mid-table team for the last year and a half, not Chelsea. Full credit to where credit's due. Chelsea played fantastically today. I was certainly one of those, like you mentioned earlier, that underestimated them. I didn't really see, despite the £1 billion that they've spent over the last few years, where the threats come from. And I was wrong, clearly. You know, they had a very good game. And, you know, they will be absolutely fuming that they haven't picked up the 3 points today. And it's definitely more a point gained than 2 points dropped for us today.
I mean, I did a show in a week, and I said that I thought Chelsea would be a threat to us today. And I was basing that off the fact that coming into the game today, they were on I think they'd won their last three. Their form had improved. Some of their so-called better players were starting to show up. And I just knew that it's a London derby, it's always going to be keenly contested. I just thought that this might be a difficult game, and so it proved. Chelsea definitely started a lot better than we 100%. Did. And I know Turkish was quite scathing of the performance, as others have been, yourself as well, I think it's fair to say. But if you look at the stats, and I've got them here, you may be surprised to learn that in terms of shots on goal, Arsenal
had more.
Yeah, they actually registered more, 13 to Chelsea's 11. Okay, Chelsea had 5 shots on target compared to our 3. But in terms of possession, we shaded that as well. So was it as bad a performance as it may have looked, especially in that first half?
Absolutely, because it's all good having possession. It's more about what you do with it. And I think Chelsea definitely utilised the minimal amount of possession they had today. And again, it's all good having shots, no good if they're not on target. You know, it took us, I think Declan Rice's goal was our first shot on target. All game. And by the way, what a great goal from Declan Rice, by the way. The reaction time to pounce on the Sanchez mistake. He won't get obviously there's no goalkeeper in the net, so he won't get the credit that he deserves to that. But the technique and the reaction time from Declan Rice for that goal is absolutely amazing. And then obviously you go on to the second goal. People keep trying to tell me and argue with me that he's not world class. Bukayo Saka, look at the ball that he puts in. I didn't even see that coming. And then Leandro Trossard, what a finish. You know, I think people were quite critical of Mikel Arteta's tactics today. In terms of the starting 11, I didn't really have too many complaints. The only real change I would have made was maybe Thomas Partey for Jorginho.
I must admit, I was a bit surprised that Partey didn't start. He may have assessed him in training and thought, you know, he had that long trip to Africa, played the 2 games against, I think it was Mexico and the USA. Apparently, he wasn't that good in those 2 games either. So maybe, on balance, the manager thought to rest him. I've got to ask you, you're a goalkeeper yourself.
Here we go.
No, but it's definitely going to be one of the talking points in this game. I think it's fair to say that it wasn't a good day for goalkeepers. It was very wet, blustery conditions. That may have played a part. But I've got to ask you, let me start by asking you about our keeper, David Raya. The second goal, do you think he could have done better with that?
No question about it. You know, it's like you've said before, and it's very obvious. Mudryk wasn't even looking at the goal. It's not a shot. It's sheer luck. That's the only way I can explain that goal. But David Raya hasn't helped himself, unfortunately. When you get into when that player gets into the crossing position, as a goalkeeper, you need to do your absolute best to defend your goal. And that means backpedaling towards the goal line because, you know, while Sterling's not the tallest of players, he's got a decent header on him. So you might as well at least get in a position to try and make the save instead of playing so high like he did and opening yourself up to that mistake. You know, it's very, very unfortunate, to say the least. I kind of understand why he did it, or why he's tried to do it, because maybe he's trying to give himself a better starting point to maybe come and collect the ball. But in hindsight, it wasn't the good decision from David Raya.
And there was a couple of other times where he's playing out from the back and then he got caught a couple of times there. But to be fair to him, he did make a very good save when he literally took the ball off Nicholas Jackson's feet when he looked like he might score. So did that even it up?
Correct me if I'm wrong though, the Nicholas Jackson one, it might have been the Cole Palmer one actually. The Nicholas Jackson one's a good save, absolutely. But there was one where he actually gives away the ball to Cole Palmer and then makes the save from that.
Yeah, that's true.
If he doesn't make the mistake, he doesn't have to make the save in the first place. You know, so this isn't the first time we've seen it. This has been a few games in a row, potentially from the North London derby. We saw the mistakes against Tottenham. We saw the mistakes against Man City. We've seen the mistakes today.
And so you know where this is going, don't you?
I know where this is going.
If you're the manager next week, what do you do?
Well, obviously,
Because there's going to be a clarion call for Ramsdale to come back in the team, because people are going to say, well, look, you dropped Ramsdale earlier in the season. For some would say less than what we've seen from Raya. So less in terms of mistakes. So, I mean, the manager's going to do what he's going to do, but I'm going to be hypothetical and ask you, what would you do if you were the manager?
Well, the way I look at it is, if it was the other way around, I feel like Ramsdale would have been dropped at this point. We saw it with Leno. You know, Ramsdale wasn't in the team initially. Leno wasn't playing fantastic. He was making a few mistakes that start of the season. Ramsdale comes in and fantastically does well. Ray has come in and he's not set the world on fire like we all thought he was going to. So I think before we even get to next weekend, we got Sevilla. We got Sevilla on Tuesday. So I think it would be criminal not to give Aaron Ramsdale the opportunity against Sevilla to try and prove himself that he deserves to start the game on Sunday or Saturday. I think it's Saturday. One of the two.
Oh no, we got Sevilla on Tuesday, and
So
I think
Tuesday
I think
and then
Saturday
Sheffield.
we got Sheffield United.
Yeah, so Saturday we got Sheffield. So bring Ramsdale in for the Sevilla game. Then you can evaluate the performances of the two, and then that way you haven't got an Aaron Ramsdale that hasn't played for 5 or 6 weeks coming in, arguably in the deep end, when he hasn't played.
And finally, do you want to end on a positive note, or do you think, like Turkish, that it was the bare minimum getting the draw?
Still unbeaten. You know,
I mean, we did come from 2-0 down away from home in a London derby on a day. Then let's face it, the conditions weren't great.
Of course, but at the same time, I'd argue that we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. You know, we're still unbeaten in the league. Then the fact that we've come back from this, I think, saves the argument about some within the Arsenal fan base of the league's done and stuff like that, because we've lost a single game. We didn't lose the game. Still unbeaten in the league. Still challenging at the top of the table. Man City are only in front of us on goal difference. You've got to remember that. I'd imagine that will probably change tomorrow as them lot from down the lane probably will get the 3 points against Fulham. But the only positive that I can take from today is we haven't lost.
Okay, thank you very much.